helyben nem tenném.
Tudatása nem teljesen komplett.
El a földre. Megyünk.
Before the headlines, the fame, the chase, there was just a man, a broken dream, a bottle of whiskey, and a hunger that would make him a legend. But legends don't rise without a fall, and every bottle eventually runs dry. Attila Ambrus was born in 1967 in a small village in Transylvania, part of the Hungarian minority under Ceausescu's iron-fisted Romania. If opportunity had a name, he'd never heard it. What he knew was poverty, gray winters, and a country where hope came rationed like bread. So in 1988, with little more than courage and desperation, he climbed onto the undercarriage of a train and smuggled himself across the Hungarian border. This wasn't immigration. This was escape. In Budapest, he found work as a janitor at the famed hockey club, Újpesti TE. Eventually, they let him onto the ice as a backup goalie. It wasn't the NHL, but it was a start. Except starts don't pay bills. Attila washed windows, baked bread, even dug graves to get by. He smuggled fur hats from Ukraine and flirted with black market deals. A hustler born not out of greed, but survival. But the clock was ticking. His past had followed him, and the future wasn't opening any doors. And that's when something snapped. Or maybe something clicked. On a cold day in 1993, Attila walked into a bank with a bouquet of flowers, a fake mustache, and a plan. No yelling, no violence, just a note and a threat. He walked out with cash, unnoticed. It was surgical, elegant almost. He vanished into the crowd like a magician packing his last trick. No fingerprints, no leads. They say he drank whiskey before every robbery, that it gave him courage, that you could smell it in the bank afterward. But that's mostly myth. Truth is, he was careful, focused. The whiskey was real, but the reason was showmanship, not sloppiness. The real motive? Debt, frustration, a life spiraling into corners with no exits. This was no rebel with a cause. This was a broke goalie with nerves of steel and nothing to lose. He didn't rob for power. He robbed because it worked. The banks were insured. The public was indifferent. And the media? Oh, they loved him. The whiskey robber, the gentleman bandit. And with each job, he got better. Different disguises, new tactics. A student of the game, writing his own playbook. And the city was watching. By 1994, it wasn't just about the money. It was about the myth. Attila was no longer just a thief. He was a character, a story the people told each other at dinner. 29 robberies, each one a performance. A bouquet here, a mask there, sometimes a hockey jacket. He'd rob a post office and then score a shutout in goal that night. The media couldn't get enough. He once posed as a TV repairman, another time a security guard. The banks never stood a chance, and each time the police were one step too late. Budapest was beginning to root for him, a modern-day outlaw with a flair for drama and a strange moral code. He never hurt anyone. He tipped waitresses generously. He even sent flowers to tellers he robbed. This wasn't violence. This was theater. The people cheered. The police fumed. Detectives built case files thicker than dictionaries. But catching a ghost is hard when the ghost keeps changing masks. Still, every act has an ending, and even legends cast shadows. For years, he danced through the cracks, but in 1999, one robbery went wrong. A careless fingerprint, a name dropped, the kind of detail you miss when you start believing your own myth. He was caught. The police finally had him. The public was stunned. Hungary's favorite thief was just a man after all. But the story didn't end there. Facing trial for multiple counts of armed robbery and the risk of being charged with attempted murder after a gun misfired during a botched heist, Attila did what legends do. He vanished again. He dyed his hair, made a rope out of bed sheets, and escaped from prison. The man who robbed banks with roses was now on the run from behind bars. But this wasn't a second act. It was a desperate epilogue. The media buzzed, the police scrambled, but time had run out. His face was known, his tricks exhausted. In 2000, they caught him for good. No disguises, no drama, just handcuffs and silence. He was sentenced to 17 years in prison. The gentleman bandit had played his last hand. In prison, he didn't rot, he rebuilt. He learned pottery, wrote a memoir, and gave interviews with the calm reflection of a man who'd lived more lives than most. He never robbed again. When he walked out in 2012, there was no press frenzy, no cheering crowd. Just a man, older, maybe wiser, walking into the quiet he'd once outrun. Today, Attila Ambrus sells ceramics, lives modestly, tells his story only when asked. The chase is over, the whiskey is gone. But the legend, it lingers like a last sip of something strong.